Hi friends, I just had some technical difficulties, so this is going to be part two. I'm starting right where we left off in the story, so thank you for joining for video two. Chen put the seed in a bigger pot made out of fine china. He moved the pot to the sunniest corner of the garden. Weeks passed, but the little seed didn't sprout. Chen carried his pot 5 miles to a well that was famous for having sweet, fresh water. Months passed, but the little seed didn't sprout. He kept his pet cricket next to the pot so the seed could hear its sweet nighttime chirps. Seasons passed, but the little seed didn't sprout. A year went by. It was time to bring the pot back to the emperor's palace. Chen felt downcast and glum. His seed hadn't sprouted at all. His wise mother found him weeping in the garden. "You did your best," she said to Chen with encouragement. "I'm very proud of you. Bring your pot to the emperor and tell him what happened." Chen arrived at the emperor's palace with their pots full of flowers. Each pot seemed to hold flowers more beautiful than the last. Chen looked down at his own empty pot and wanted to run back home. He calmed himself down, remembering his mother's words. He decided to stay where he was. The emperor walked slowly through the crowd of children and flowers, studying each child and pot as he went. Something was wrong. The emperor didn't look pleased. In fact, it seemed as though the prettier the flower, the angrier he became. At last he came to Chen and his empty pot. "What's this?" the emperor demanded. "Why is your pot empty?" Chen hung his head in shame. "I'm sorry. I put the seed in a pot, but it didn't grow. I put it in a bigger, fancier pot, but it still didn't grow. I made sure it had plenty of sunlight. I gave it the freshest water. I even let my cricket keep it company at night. Still, it would not grow. I tried my best." Suddenly, to his surprise, Chen heard the emperor shout, "I've found him! I've discovered the child worthy of becoming the next emperor. I don't know how the rest of you grew your flowers. The seeds I gave everyone were boiled. They could never have sprouted. But this honest, brave child told me the simple truth. He used his best effort to try to grow this seed. These are the qualities I want to see in the next emperor." Chen and his mother went to live in the palace. Every day the emperor and Chen worked in the palace garden together. When Chen became emperor, he cared for China just as he had always cared for his own garden. The end. All right. I hope you enjoyed that story. I really liked it a lot. And I think this gave us a really good look at characters and some different character traits within those characters. So we're going to take a look at a chart here, a graphic organizer. And it says at the top, character traits, and we're going to put the title of the story, which was The Empty Pot. The Empty Pot. And now we're going to look at a few different characters. I think first we will look at Chen, because Chen is our main character, and I think it will be the easiest for us to identify his character traits. So right next to character, I'm writing Chen. And then we can see down here, there's 3 spaces for traits. We might not come up with 3 for each character, and that's okay, because some of the characters we don't have a lot of information about. But we're going to do our best to come up with some evidence in the story for why a character's personality is showing those character traits. Okay, so let's think about Chen. I'm going to go back to the story at the beginning and let's see. We have learned that the emperor has a plan for how to decide who will become the next emperor. And we've learned that his plan is to give each child a seed and they are to go and plant it. And so on each page, it talks about things that Chen does to make sure that the seed is planted. Can you remember some of those things? Let's find some evidence. Okay, when the seed doesn't sprout, he moves it first to a bigger pot and he puts it in the sunniest corner of the garden. So I'm going to go back and for my evidence, right here, I'm going to write, he puts the seed in a different pot in a sunny space in the garden. Hope you all can see that. We'll try to make it a little bigger. There we go. He puts the seed in a different pot. What else does he do? He finds the sunniest place in the garden. What else did he do to try to help the seed grow? Use the picture to help you. Do you remember what he had to do here? That's right, he took the seed and it says 5 miles. That's a very, very long walk. So let's put in our evidence, he walked 5 miles to a well to give the seed water. Did he do anything else? Let's see. He put his pet cricket next to the seed in hopes that the seed would like the cricket sounds that he makes. When I see all of these things together that Chen did to help the seed grow, that tells me he didn't just plant it and leave it. He did many things when he noticed that it wasn't growing. So that tells me, I think that the trait that I would use is hardworking. Okay, Chen works very hard to make sure that the seed starts to grow. Even when it doesn't work, he doesn't get discouraged. He keeps trying to help the seed grow. So I think I'm going to write hardworking as the first trait. Okay, let's see if we can find another character trait for Chen. Let's see, what else happens in the story? Let's see. We know that he's probably feeling a little bit discouraged when the seed doesn't grow. So it's time to go back to the palace. And he's crying in the garden because he doesn't have a beautiful plant to take back to the emperor. When he gets to the palace, I notice that his face looks a bit worried. He sees everyone else with these beautiful plants, and he has an empty pot. Can you imagine how he is feeling here? It said, Chen looked down at his own empty pot and wanted to run back home. He calmed himself down, remembering his mother's words. He decided to stay where he was. Okay, so these are actions. He wanted to run home. That's what he wanted to do. But he calmed himself down and he stayed at the palace. So I'm going to put that as his actions here. Chen calms himself down and stays at the palace even when he was afraid. He does that even when he's scared. I think a character trait that I would use is brave. Okay? Show me if you agree. Do you think Chen was brave there? He was the only child without a beautiful plant, but he decided to stay. He was brave. Okay? And the last thing, let's see if we can find one more trait for Chen. I'm going to go back to the story because when I find evidence, I make sure I pull it right from the story text. I look at the words to help me. I don't just try to remember from my brain. Okay. Here's the emperor. He's looking at everyone's pot. And he comes to Chen and he sees the empty pot. He says, I'm sorry. I put the seed in a pot, but it didn't grow. I put it in a bigger, fancier pot, but it still didn't grow. I made sure it had plenty of sunlight. I gave it the freshest water. I even let my cricket keep it company at night. Still, it would not grow. I tried my best. So these are Chen's words, okay? We can tell a character trait by what a character says, their words, and what they do, what they think. So I'm going to use some of his words as evidence. I'm going to use the first sentences. I'm sorry, I put the seed in a pot, but it didn't grow. Let's put that under our evidence. I'm sorry, I put the seed in a pot, but it didn't grow. I think those words show us that Chen is honest. He didn't try to lie to the emperor and come up with an excuse. He told him the truth. He said, I'm sorry, it just didn't grow. That's what happened. Okay? So he didn't lie, he told the truth. So far for Chen, we came up with 3 different character traits. That's awesome. Chen is hardworking, he is brave, and he is honest. Okay, we can tell that he is those things by looking at the actions that he did in the story and by the words that he used. So I want to see if you can make one sentence. We're running a little bit short on time. I don't want you to watch too much today. So let's look at a sentence frame. It says, I think Chen is blank because blank. See if you can use one of the character traits in a sentence. Okay, so looking back to our 3 character traits, I want you to choose one and I want you to tell me the reason why. Okay, we're using our conjunction because today. I think Chen is blank because blank. So look back to our chart. I want to see if you can write that sentence on a piece of paper if you have one at home, and then share it with Miss Makadia because I would like to see what you think. I think Chen is hardworking because he tried really hard to get the seed to grow. I think Chen is brave because blank. When I see you tomorrow, we're going to practice a little bit with some of our words, but we will come back on Thursday and we will try to decide some character traits for Chen's mother and for the emperor. Okay, so continue to think about those character traits over the next few days. Think about if you can think of any character traits that describe yourself. Okay, what are you like on the inside? All right. I hope you all have a great evening and I will talk to you soon. Bye.